Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, Senior News Editor with Retail Insider. Joining me today is Lauren Helstab, who is Country Manager for Sendle in Canada. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for taking the time, and I'm really excited to talk all about what we've just launched.
Tell me what you just launched, a shipping service to the U.S. from Canada, and obviously you guys are geared to the small business industry in the country. Tell me a little bit about that service and the why behind it, why you've launched to the U.S.
Absolutely. So last time we spoke actually was September, and we had just launched our domestic service in Canada. And Sendle's whole mission is to make shipping affordable, reliable, and simple for small business. And we really believe that small business in Canada, lucky us,
Yeah.
we have some of like the most expensive rates out there.
Yeah.
And so it's a big problem here, and it's something that Sendle is really well equipped to solve. So in September, we launched our domestic service, and now, kind of since then, I guess, we've been hearing from our customers that they need our help shipping to the US as well. It's a really big part of their business, and it's equally unaffordable, and it's holding them back actually from being able to expand. So we've just launched Canada's cheapest door to door, fully tracked shipping to the US service. It gives small businesses a fair shot at competing in the US, and I can talk a little bit about why that is as well. But it's got $100 up to $100 cover as well, so that gives customers peace of mind when they're shipping across the border. And then also it's available nationally, which I think is a really big deal, given that a lot of Canadian small businesses, especially e-commerce businesses and retailers, they're not living in big cities. And so they don't have access sometimes to other solutions. And here we are, we're offering something like that. And it's a very affordable rate starting at $7.98. So very excited to see how this helps small businesses be able to actually expand into the US and really compete against a very different set of expectations actually from US buyers.
Mm-hmm. The expansion into the U.S. for a lot of small businesses is important in Canada, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the thing is that Canada is a great market. I mean, tons of people here, of course, and so you can really make a business. But I think all of us are very aware that the U.S. is an absolutely massive market, and in terms of e-commerce, it's like the second largest e-commerce market in the world. It is a huge opportunity, and given it's in our backyard, we share a massive land border. We have a trade agreement that lets us ship up to $800 of value down to the states to a buyer who doesn't have to pay duties on that amount. It should be easy for small businesses to make more business in the US.
Mm-hmm. What do you think consumers of today are looking for in businesses, retailers, and small businesses when it comes to delivering, so to speak, delivering on their promises?
Yeah, so I mean, Canadian Canadian selling to Canadians, I think is, I mean, it's hard because the cost of shipping is high
Yeah.
in some cases, and so I think what happens is that Canadian consumers are like, okay, I get it. A small business can't offer me free shipping. And so they're kind of willing to pay a little bit more. They're kind of willing to wait a little bit longer. And it's all in the name of being able to buy from a local business, right? Well, in the US, it's a larger market, same landmass, like a lot of more people. And so it means that they have access to a much more reasonable shipping rates. And so the expectation from the US consumer is that they're not paying much for shipping and it's going to arrive fast. So, like, free and cheap shipping is much more common in the US. And so, when a small business in Canada wants to expand into the US, they have to take that consumer expectation into consideration. And so, they're looking for services that let them do that. So it needs to be an affordable cost of shipping. It needs to be a quick service. It needs to be tracked so people know that it's coming across. I think everyone's like, am I getting my,
Yeah.
package from whatever retailer I just found on Instagram, for example? So, they need a reliable service they can trust and something that they're going to be able to essentially help them attract these US buyers, but equally also compete with the hundreds of thousands of US sellers as well.
Yeah. Now, when you look at the whole industry, say of say e-commerce, the last 2, 3 years, obviously we've seen an explosion of that. Uh, is that uh, is that a blip in the grand scheme of things? And because of what we went through with the COVID and all that, or is this something that is just going to continue to grow now that we've sort of gotten out of COVID.
Yeah. I mean, so it's funny actually. I was working at Shopify during COVID, and it is one of the largest e-commerce platforms in the world, and we really saw this huge spike, right? And it was absolutely massive.
Yeah.
And what we learned was actually that coming out of COVID, and I think the rest of the e-commerce industry recognizes this too. And at Sendle we're seeing this as well. Is it's not that e-commerce was a huge blip and then it's gone down. It's just gone down to where it probably would have grown to anyways without COVID. And so
Yeah.
I believe, and many other people in the industry believe, that this is just the beginning. Especially in Canada, we've been kind of slow to adopt e-commerce comparing us to the US or the UK, for example.
Hmm.
And I think it's just early days for Canadian SMBs as they start their road into selling online and it becoming a bigger and bigger thing. And everyone's pushing for it to be easier. And as it gets easier, I think consumers are going to continue to spend more and more online.
Tell me a little bit about Sendle and its history.
Absolutely, yeah. So Sendle is actually an Australian company. They kind of essentially did what we're doing in Canada right now. Is they came in, they wanted to be able to offer another choice to the big postal service in Australia, and they were able to support SMBs getting much more affordable, reliable shipping. And then a few years ago, they expanded into the US, and last September, we expanded into Canada to again bring that mission forward and make sure that Canadian SMBs can have fair shipping rates that gives them another option that's available to them and gives them a great reliable service.
And how have you found it in Canada in terms of the reception?
So far, I'm like blown away. Customers tell us that we've really helped them be able to save money, which is a really big deal, especially with the inflation and all the other shipping or other costs that they're kind of battling within business and in the supply chain and everything. But customers like Anissa at Wandereth, who we're happy to connect you with in case you want to chat to her as well. But they're saying that Sendle is pretty much a game changer for them to be able to compete in the Canadian market. And also now they're really looking forward to be able to compete in the US market and really expand their business. And so that's, I feel like, a great testimonial to, what the power of affordable shipping can do.
Yeah, and I guess that becomes, as you mentioned, it becomes even more so important these days with the costs of everything going like crazy, right? And
it's crazy.
Yeah. And the market itself in the US has got to be huge for small businesses to bigger businesses, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's, I think, projected to be like $1.7 trillion in the next 4 years. Like,
Wow.
I can't even conceive of that number, but
Yeah.
it's a big deal. Like, it's a big market. And it's so, kind of an interesting opportunity, very good opportunity for Canadians.
All right. Thank you very much, Lauren, for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
All right. That was Lauren Helstab, who is country manager in Canada for Sendle. I'm Mario Toneguzzi, senior news editor with Retail Insider. Thanks for joining us today.